When was a time that you achieved something? And what does achieving anything actually mean? What does it feel like? What does it take? What does it require? It always requires something, usually many difficult somethings. And why? Why bother going through the grueling process to endure any outcome? What does it mean to achieve? And what if you never achieved anything? What if you're watching this and you're like, Dominique, what have I ever done? I've never crossed the finish line. I've never built anything. I've never XYZ, right? Thing is, most of us have done way more than we realize. Maybe more importantly is that regardless of who you are or what you've done, you either in the past, in the present moment, or in the future moment, you will blank on this question and you won't know. It happens to all of us because our brain is more likely to identify what is going wrong, what is negative, than what is positive and going right. That's just what our brain, our human brain, is built to do. If we see a tiger, we don't look at the fact that it's a beautiful tiger. We think, oh my God, it's going to eat me, which is the appropriate response to seeing an actual live tiger, unless at the zoo. If you're at the zoo, then I guess it's fine. So the brain does this. It looks at the negative and the unfinished to keep us alive. But in the process, we forget how accomplished we are. We forget how wonderful we are, and how beautiful the world around us can be. In this video, I am comparing and contrasting Leila Hormozi's 5 steps to achieve anything with another approach that I use as a professional, the community education spiral, as it's known. And that is a process to achieve anything as a group, but it can also be used to achieve anything as an individual person. So I'm going to look at both of these methods, how they differ and how they're similar, and you can kind of see for yourself what resonates with you. I'll also link her video in the description. So who the heck is Leila Hormozi and who the heck am I? Well, Leila, she can, introduce herself in her own YouTube videos, but for the sake of brevity, if you don't know who she is, she's the CEO of acquisition.com, and I'm pretty sure founded it with her husband, Alex. They're both business content creators and worth hundreds of millions. So they know a thing or two about achieving. Who am I? I'm Dominique. I'm an alternative educator, 15 years experience in the field. I've worked with thousands of people of all ages. So I also know a thing or two about achievement and how to get a person or a group of people to that point where they have accomplished. As an educator, I know how people learn, and that's what I'm studied in, is how people change in ways that are positive and helpful to them. And so growth, I'm in the business of power, I'm in the business of growth, and this is a critical piece of it. It cannot be somebody else's goal for that person, otherwise it doesn't work. It won't go anywhere, not anywhere good or helpful. More recently, in the span of those 15 years, in the last 5 years, I've been the founder of Off the Beaten Path Learning LLC, and that provides one-on-one self-directed education. We've worked with 25 people. 88% of those 25 have hit their goal publicly. And so if you want to discuss personalized guidance, we work with all ages regardless of your goal. There's more information in the description. Feel free to reach out. Oh yeah, there is also an option for community if you want to achieve with a community of other people achieving. All right, let's get into talking about Leila Hormozi's 5 steps to achieve a goal. Before I talk about that, she more recently put out a video, how to achieve anything. And it makes good points, but I think this older video is a much stronger play-by-play as to it's a much more tactical, much more strategic and informative sequence of steps needed to get to achievement. So that's why I'm looking at the old video, not the new video. Okay, first of all, set your goal. Have the end in mind, right? That's first of all. Then you're going to want to choose supporting behaviors. So break that end in mind, break that vision down into what day-to-day behaviors am I going to need to move myself forward. And anything that's not on that list that you actively have as a habit, eliminate it, right? So eliminate all the unessentials. So if, for example, you are, skip the example. Okay, so number 1, set your goal. Number 2, have your habits. 3, have an environment that supports your habits. Make it easy on yourself. Number 3, structure your environment, your surroundings, your house, your neighborhood. Make it so that it's very seamless for success to appear, right? So if you are working on something with your physical health, you're working on running a marathon or something, and you realize that sugary processed foods are not the best for that goal, then make them out of reach in your house. Make them not in your house at all. Make your environment more suited to whatever goal you're trying to go for. As you're going for the goal, make sure to reward yourself, not every time, but reward yourself for positive actions taken. Even if it simply means measuring, right? Because measure what matters. Put your attention where you want what you want to develop. Even if it's as simple as looking at the thing really intentionally, then do that by all means, right? So reinforce those positive actions with some kind of small reward. That still makes sense for the overall goal. She also talks about being able to track and measure as a means or as a way to adjust when you need to adjust. And so be willing to make necessary changes as you go for that achievement, right? So if you realize that running in the morning is better than running after lunch, do that. If you realize that you need to run twice, do that. Whatever it may be willing to adjust the plan. Have a plan, but be willing to adjust the plan. Be willing to throw out the plan. So that's Leila's 5 steps. Have the end in mind, set your goal, choose supporting habits, engineer your environment to make it easy on those habits, reward yourself for doing the thing, and then being consistent with doing the thing, and then measure, track, and adjust as needed. The community education spiral it gets you to the same place, but it's different. It also has 5 stages, but it's different. So let's look at how it is different. So instead of starting with just the end in mind, you look at that, but you also look at any other needs you may have. The first step is called a needs assessment. And for me, I usually break needs down into 3 things. Goals, what's missing, what's the struggle, right? What's the problem? What you want, what's a problem, and what you're good at, strengths. So needs assessment contains goal. Leila said that. So you want to know your goal always, regardless of what methodology you're using. That's a step. It's always number 1. It's always the first. If you don't know where you're going to walk too fast in the wrong direction. Don't run in the wrong direction. That will get you nowhere. You need to know where you're headed. So needs assessment, know the goal, know what's working for you and know what's not working for you, your strengths and your struggles. Then create a plan. When you're creating a plan, this is step 2, stage 2 of the community education spiral, right? So it's a cycle, it keeps going. When you're creating your plan, backward design from your end in mind. Where am I going and how do I get there? Make a big plan and then smaller, more detailed plans for each of those sections. So if the goal is 1 year ahead of time, I would suggest having one big plan for the year, right? Something simple, something you can capture in a sentence, and then more detailed for here's what I'm going to do each month. You want to section out the plan. Have a big plan and smaller plans sectioned out. Creating a plan as a community is interesting because it can look like people talking. In fact, often it looks like people talking. In military situations, it can look like you're in the military, what is it called? Some room, strategy room? I don't know what it's called. But you're all standing above a table, big tables with a big map, and you're figuring out, okay, what do we have to do at what point? That's a strategic situation. And then similarly, if you're in a group of people and you're organizing to create a union, right? You're labor organizing. You'd be in a room. It could be any room. It could be a barbershop. It could be a warehouse. But you're in a room and you're all talking. Maybe you have something, again, on paper, right? Something documented to track what it is, the conclusions that you're coming to. Third step. Okay, so once you've assessed your needs, you've created a plan. Step 3 is to prepare. Now you have your plan, so now you're going to actually take some action on that plan. You're going to gather any materials, any arms, right? To stick with the military thing. You're going to gather any materials, supplies. Even this could be mindset. So if your mindset is what is, you realize that's part of the plan, it's part of what's going to be necessary to achieve, and you don't have it, then when you're preparing, when you're building your capacity to achieve whatever, that preparation can partially look like getting your mental game right. It can be very important. So it's not necessarily just gathering physical materials, that can be a part of it, but also gathering your environment, getting your environment ready, getting your clothes ready the day before to run the day after, getting your mental game on point. It can look like a lot of things. It can look like letting the people around you know, here's what I'm doing, here's when I'm doing it, here's what it means for our relationship. All of that is in preparation. All of that is in stage 3. Prepare to do the thing. Okay, stage 4, you're doing it. Stage 4, you're executing. There's really no other word for it. You're implementing. All right, there are other words for it. You're executing, you're implementing, you're practicing, you're taking action. Lots of words. Point is, you're doing what you set out to do. This is where you actually achieve the thing, or at least you attempt. And hopefully you get to the point, whatever the output is that you were desired, hopefully, right? But as she talks about in the newer video, you want to focus on input. Always focus on input, because you cannot really control output. But if you're vehemently, diligently focused on what you're doing, on what you're inputting, right? On your actions that you can control, makes a world of difference. Because if you put 100% of your attention on what you can control, 100%, then you have better managed for all the other crap that you cannot control. Because at the very least, you're doing this at an A+ level, A1 sauce. Okay, the fifth stage of the community education spiral is to reflect and assess. Because when you finish one goal, you don't finish all of it. You're still a person. Unless your goal was to survive your life, you're not dead. So keep adapting. Keep being willing to use your reflection as a roadmap for what's to come. This means evaluating what you did well. This means evaluating what you didn't do well, what was missing, and really taking note, intentional, conscious note of, here's what I'm going to do better next time. Here's what I can keep doing well next time. Next times, plural. Yeah. So to summarize the spiral, the community ed spiral, okay? In summarizing the community education spiral, starts with needs assessment, then you make a plan, then you prepare to do the thing, you do the thing, you reflect, and it goes on and on. Right. There are 3 big things in common with these 2 frameworks. One from one from that's funny, because they both have Leila as a first name. There are 2, skip that, start the section over. Okay. There are 3 big similarities between these 2 frameworks. Leila Hormozi, 5 Steps to Achieve Anything. Community Education Spiral. Number 1 similarity, set the intention. Be intentional. Have intentionality. Both frameworks emphasize the importance of setting super clear, very meaningful goals. At an event at the Brooklyn Museum in 2024, it was a business event for small business owners. Leila Ali, not Hormozi, Ali, was the speaker. She was there as the speaker of honor. And if you don't know who Leila Ali is, she's a world champion boxer, woman boxer. And she said, the first thing she said to us was, have the end in mind, which really speaks to how both of these frameworks, they start with the same exact step, which is like, know what the fuck you want, know where you're going. It's not easy. You have to use your imagination. You have to. You don't have it yet, so you have to use your imagination. You can look to other people, you can try to, seek representation in the world. Ultimately, you're imagining. And you're really trying to intentionally, specifically envision what it is that you want, so that you can set your target appropriately for that direction. It's like a missile. And if you don't know what degrees to set for the missile's gonna not aim at the right thing. Okay, the second similarity is essentially take action. You're going to want to take action, and you're going to want that action to be continuous and consistent. Take consistent action, because nothing happens overnight. Nothing worthwhile, nothing big is achieved overnight, right? It takes many days of waking up at the same time, in the same way, with the same first step. It takes a lot of falling down and getting back up, all of that. So keep taking action. And the third thing that both of these frameworks have in common is that they encourage reflection and adaptation. Do not fear criticism. Do not fear feedback. Embrace these things. Welcome them. Open arms, open hands, open eyes. Feedback and criticism are the stuff of growth. And if you can really not only welcome that, but act on it, and importantly, discern from what is like well-intentioned advice that doesn't actually apply to you, right? Because sometimes people give their feedback and their criticism, and it's not actually what you or the goal require. So it falls flat, and that's fine. You need to have the judgment, the discernment to be able to tell, okay, advice A was good here, but not there. I'm going to take what I can and leave what I don't need. Advice B was useful there, but not here, etc., right? So you're really reflecting and using your own judgment, your own discernment to know what's what and what you need. There are some differences in these frameworks. Let's talk about the differences. And this is really where you're going to be able to tell like which one of these frameworks works better for me, whoever's watching, for you, right? The community education spiral is unending. It's a spiral. You can make that spiral fit into a day, an hour. You can make it fit into your whole life, but then there will be many of them within that one. It's a spiral. It's a cycle. It stops and then continues inherently. Whereas the 5 steps to achieve anything by Leila Hormozi feels, anyway, like it has a finish line, a dead set finish line, and then you could start again, but it doesn't actually have that explicit part of it. Like, she doesn't mention it at any point. So I don't know, you'd have to clarify with her. I'd love to hear from her on that. Is it unending or is it ending? And is that the point? I'd love to know. The other thing about the community education spiral is that it's inherently based on life and nature, and so it is very willing, ready, and able to be not linear, not very structured, incredibly flexible. It's good for messiness. It's good for chaos. It's good to hold the chaos of life and embrace that reality. It's good for that. Leila Hormozi's framework is better if you're a very structured person, if you're a very certainty-based human being. If you need that, and you like that, and that's where you thrive, I would say that's the structure, that's the framework to use. On the other hand, if you're more of a Dominique, then you'll be attracted just naturally to the community education spiral, because that spiral's framework is more chaos friendly. And so, for example, if you're the mom of 3 kids, or if you are disabled, or if you have a lot of external or internal factors that you cannot control for, that are very close to you, very close to how you live, community ed might be better for you, because that spiral is more fluid. I'd say all in all, they're very similar, and it's really up to you which one you want to go by. In fact, if neither or both is what you're leaning toward, go for it. Mix them up and create your own framework. As long as you stay making progress, and come back to this video and comment when you've achieved something. I would love to know if either of these frameworks have helped you.